Well, those that push for a cashless society, and I'm going to speak loud so you can hear because of the wind noise. It's going to do my voice in. Those that push for a cashless society are now, well, their chickens are coming home to roost a touch, aren't they? Obviously, the technophobes like myself, who don't always carry cash but I have a card, are still further on down the food chain than the people who are all for it, who they do it all on their phone. So, kind of makes me wonder, if an unexpected circumstance came along, by the way, where your phone goes flat, how can you make a payment? So, I'm just trying to think of the worst case scenario. You're stuck out, your car's died, your battery's flat, right? You can't call for a taxi to get you home. You can't make a call to the emergency services. You couldn't call the emergency services if you're not part of the AA and make a payment to them because of reasons. It kind of does make your life a bit of a difficult one, but here's another. I'm listening to Jeremy Wine, instead of Vine. So I was listening to him, and he was listening to some woman who said, basically, I think it's a husband or whatever it was, or partner, or could have been a dad, really doesn't matter at this point, doesn't have a computer, doesn't have a card, doesn't have an email address. He's old school, right? Don't want it. EDF weren't having it. They weren't having it to an extent that they kept saying, we need these details. And she's like, he does not have them. So EDF are pretty much entranced in this new where we're going. And old people are going to be bullied or end up going without possibly. We'll go back a bit, right? There was a woman who went onto the Humber Bridge, I believe, and doing so, she didn't see the sign that says card only. Now, there are many places like this on checkpoints and stuff like that in Ireland and here and probably in France and Germany, wherever, where it is card only. And if you don't notice, well, she went on there and it was a bank holiday and she tried to pay them and they were not having cash. So the understanding person at the till called the police. And the police came and then dutifully arrested her, and she spent 6 hours having to, I don't know, explain herself. So you can't imagine a life without cash. Although I'm as guilty as the next man that I don't carry cash that often because I don't actually go out and spend very often. If I go to the pub, I use the card, so I'm guilty. I have chucked them cash before, but they're like, ugh. But there are places that this thing was saying that if you go to try and pay them in cash, they're like, no. I tried to go, this is the other thing as well. This is the flip side of this. If you're somebody who's maybe not paying all the taxes that you should do, I can think of many car washes that won't take card. I can think of many burger vans. In fact, if you go to Avonmouth, there's so many of the burger vans that won't, but you could usually tell which ones they are. I'm not being racist or prejudiced, but they're all very English looking. And for some reason, they won't take card. They will take a bank transfer, but I am the sort of guy that says, no. If you're not willing to take cash, fuck you. So there it was, go somewhere else. But I'm seeing it more and more now that the cashless society has been pushed, and you can hear Jeremy Wine saying that it was COVID that did it. It's COVID that brought this on. Yeah, people didn't want to touch the cash or touch each other. Can you remember that? They had this big glass screen, right? And you had to touch card. And this guy goes, I've got cash. She went, oh, well, lean around and talk to me and give me the cash. He went, because at the time, I think there's a meme going around. He's trying to put the cash through the window. And she's like, what are you doing? He went, well, we've got to do it this way, haven't we? He just took the piss right out of her. But all of these fucking load of bullshit they put in place, that, oh, you got cash. All right, well, there we go. We can speak and do it normally again. But cash is going. Now, imagine that. Imagine, while cash is still there, the trouble that we're having to pay our bills. The trouble that we're having, I don't know, to get across a bridge. All these other things. Now, imagine this. There is no cash. There is only card exchange, which means everywhere you go, they know where you've been. They literally are watching you the entire time, everywhere you go. Any interaction will have its VAT on it, because I can't just pay you now in cash and keep those wankers out of it. No. They'll have their mitts on everything, which is great. It's more taxable, isn't it? But all of a sudden, we've got this thing that we've all been talking about, and so many of these progressive wankers are saying, oh, you're just talking out your head. Well, we're getting closer and closer with more and more laws. I mean, just today in America, there's now a law where you can't talk badly about a fat person. No, the law in place is just as strong, well, it's as strong as the anti-racism laws, anti-religious laws or whatever. So yeah, basically if you're pointing out somebody's obesity, you're in the shit. But going back to the cashless society, you'll have to make sure that your shit does not stink, because you'll be punished. Well, I don't like the attitude of that person, they voted wrong. Have a day or two without cash. And what about, I've talked about it before, but let's just throw it out there. What would you do if they said that this money that you earn has to be spent within a set time period? I mean, 10 years ago, I would have said that anybody who thought that was a complete fucking lunatic. But we've already worked out now that so many things that we thought were absolutely fucking insane are now the way of it, right? So, imagine they're saying, right, your wages that you earned this month, they'll have to be spent within this year. Otherwise, they'll disappear into the ether. Because you remember, you'll have nothing and you'll be happy. Oh, that reminds me. Somebody who didn't have a cash card but did have a bank account, they tried to pay money in and they nearly got arrested for money laundering. Because even the bank doesn't want to take your fucking money anymore. It wants to make it so difficult that you just stop dealing with cash. Or going in that situation, you see. So, you might not be able to spend your money because you've been a bad boy. You'll only be able to spend it on certain things, and depending on your status. And then, maybe you've earned 20 grand this year. Well, that'll have to be spent within the year, because you can't carry it over. So savings will be a thing of the past. Because at the moment, they're trying to absolutely fuck the middle class. Which, to be honest, if you're not middle class, you might not have a lot of sympathy, but why not? I mean, what is wrong with somebody trying to amass of cash? So that maybe, I've always lived from week to week. I've never been a person who's ever had a great deal of money in the bank, never in my life. But there again, I've never been blacklisted, I've never gone bankrupt, and I don't believe in going to the bank for a loan because I hate the thought of those cunts making money on my back. However, ask yourself, and I seen something earlier on, do you know that cunt got in my truck and put the heating on? What a wanker! I thought I was getting hot. Anyway, so there was a bloke saying, he said, the transfer of wealth, you know, the Klaus Schwab thing. He said, why is it you think that they hit the taxes of new business the hardest? He said, they tax small businesses the most. Because when you look at these massive companies, they've got all of these ways to avoid paying large sums of tax. But the little people, they're trying to fit them up to fail. Because they want to actually make sure that all the small businesses, the middle class, the lower class, they fail. So there's only ever those ones right at the top, and the rest of you, well, you're all in the same home. Not your home, by the way. The government own that home. You're all skint, and you're all watching your P's and Q's. Otherwise, what little you have got at the moment will be pulled out from underneath you. But hey, it's progressive, right? And it's the future. I mean, these kids at the moment who are in their 20s think this is the norm. They can't actually remember getting pocket money that was in their hand, counting that up and working out how many sweets can I get with this, how many cans of Coke can I get with this, or what parts can I buy for my push bike, BMX in my case. I used to work out just how far that money would go, and when it didn't go far enough, especially in the summer, I worked out that a bucket and sponge and knocking doors would actually get you somewhere. We went car washing, £3 a car, and we did a good job of it, I think. I mean, getting to the roof was a bit difficult, because I was small, but whatever. But yeah, we ended up building up a car washing round, so it couldn't have been that bad. So, but that was in the summer. And also it cured the boredom. And then we tried to buy as many shandies as we could, thinking if we drank enough of this shit, we'd get pissed. The truth of it was, that didn't work. What we got was bloated. But we tried anyway. Right, Mr. Caravan, you weave your way out in front of me. Just crack on. Go on. Look in your mirrors, you fucking blithering buffoon! Oh, God. Oh, the fucking stupidity. Oh, just pull him behind you. So, hey, when I pull him behind you, you'll pull out, won't you? Let's watch it. Let's wait. So you signalled to go on to the motorway that you actually didn't wish to go onto, and you even weaved into my lane. I fucking hate caravans. I have one as well. Anyway, that's where we are at the moment. Oh, we're coming up to a junction. We're not sure what lane we want. I tell you what, strap all of them. That'll be the way forward. Right, well, I'm going to go on getting beasted and having an absolutely wonderful time. And I'll speak to you all soon.